There's
There's
25% increase everywhere. Every basic ability, skill, and talent can be developed through hard work, good strategies, persistence, dedication, and input from others. Where focus goes, energy flows. So focus your energy on continuous learning and stop wasting time thinking about looking smart. Build resistance, build vulnerability, build courageousness, and face adversity with a smile. Become comfortable with uncomfortable. You know, the only person that you need to prove anything to is you. Imperfect action trumps perfect inaction. Stop wasting time and get on with it. Failure is part of learning, so start learning by taking action.
Kristian Livolsi. I was waiting for the applause that you normally hit that button when we go live. When that video comes off. Kristian Livolsi. There it is. Woo! It is Wednesday. We are live here with the hot seat. Oh, we have lag again. Thank you, Ecamm. Thank you.
It was fine before we got on, and now we have lag.
Yep. Every week. No idea. Let's get on with it regardless. Listen, I am so excited for today's topic. I know this is going to be another big one for you, another topic that you really enjoy talking about. We're talking all about leadership and growth mindsets, and I know this is totally your jam. So let's not delay. Let's get straight into this with my first question today, Kristian. Straight in with it. How can we implement lessons from failures to grow? So I know this is something you talk about often, you know, failing forward, moving forward, learning from the lessons. But how do we actually make sure we learn from the lessons and we don't just keep stuffing up and making the same mistakes?
Well, Simone, implementing lessons from failures to foster growth actually involves a process of reflection, analysis, and action. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of ways that you can turn failures into valuable learning experiences. And I'm going to share some of that with you guys now, and then you'll hear my voice, and then don't try and lip read because it's miles behind. But the first thing you got to do is you got to acknowledge and also accept. Right? That means the first step is to actually acknowledge the failure and accept it without self-judgment. Okay. Understand the failure is actually a natural part of the learning process and growth. Now, the whole world is going to tell you that you're a failure, so don't you spend the time, reinforcing that. Okay, everyone's quick to react, and most of the people that have something to say about your failure are failures themselves who have never tried anything. They live in their own little comfort zone and have never been uncomfortable in their lives, and if they do, my God, they start taking antidepressants because they can't cope with fucking anxiety. So, let's be really clear. You know, if you're having a go and you're failing, it means you're doing something other people aren't doing. Now, if you continue to fail, well, then you got to really look deeply at you. And if you're a criminal and a fraud, then you really need to be aware of that. Okay, so and then there are people that out there who Phoenix companies who do shit that is just wrong, right? So the next step is really to take time to reflect on what happened, and you got to ask yourself really key questions. And pen and paper, guys, you know, what went wrong? Were there warning signs? You know, what could we have done differently? Okay, so this reflection actually helps understand the root causes, and you know, what was the constraint? You know, what really held us back? The other thing that you got to do is you got to really write down all the key lessons that you learned. Now, this not only helps you internalize the takeaways, but also, serves as a reference for any future endeavors. I mean, you know, no secret, I'm at my 80th venture, and you know, the first 40, you know, first 10 was super successful. You know, and then and then it only took a couple to really bury the empire. And then I had a lot of false starts because I realized that I had to learn how to fail quickly and fail often. And that's why it's really important to document everything. The other thing is that, if you're and so now we fail micro. Every failure we have is a micro failure. We'll test a lead magnet. If it doesn't work, we won't keep running it. We'll change it. So it's beyond just one thing. And you may as well ignore that 2-minute timer. Our listeners are now used to a 30-minute podcast. So I think that you then have to share those insights with your team. And then based on all those reflections, you got to develop an action plan. And this should include specific steps to avoid similar failures in the future. And it might also involve additional training, new strategies, and changes in your process. And if you are then incorporating those wonderful feedback mechanisms, right, and having feedback loops, then you can use that to set up systems and processes. And then what you've got to do from that point is adopt that growth mindset. Once you've processed all that, you embrace the mindset that views failures as opportunities to learn and grow rather than as a negative reflection on your abilities. And that's the most important part, I think, of all of it. When you get to that point, you need to just go, you know what? It's all about opportunities to learn more. And some of the greatest failures of all time, Michael Jordan, claims he's one of the greatest failures of all time. Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein. So, I'm a failure, a great failure, and it's fine. I'm comfortable with that. And the more we become comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more successful we're going to be. So then you've got to look at the implementation changes, and you've got to do that gradually. Okay. And then you've got to strengthen your resilience by remaining optimistic and persistent. Okay. So resilience helps us bouncing back from those setbacks more effectively, but it's the persistence that keeps us going. Okay. There's a quote for you. Timestamp that one. Right now, continuously evaluate also the effectiveness of the changes that you've made, and be ready, Simone. Be ready, right, to adjust that approach. Okay, continuously, and then the one thing that I didn't do until much later in my career is start celebrating your failures. Right, celebrate them, conquer them, and then celebrate your wins louder. When you do great, buy yourself a new Rolex. I mean, my wife is frustrated. I have a very large watch collection, a very large pen collection. Some people collect cars that are depreciating assets in most instances. I collect depreciating watches. I have a couple of watches that I bought when I learnt this technique of celebrating success. And I think my first watch I bought was $8,000 at the time. 20 years later, it's now, I think, 43,000. So that watch has kept giving me that celebration. Has kept paying dividends. Right now, don't go buy stupid shit. You got to buy shit that other people want to buy. I was very lucky that Rolex has skyrocketed in value. So it's one of those things. And then funnily enough, I wear
I know. I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen you wear a
and my daughter's wristband. My favorite bit of jewelry that my daughter made at school, and it hasn't come off my wrist other than showers, and I love it. So, anyone who thinks that I'm materialistic, you've got really no idea. So, it's the things that matter the most. So, by systematically learning from failures, Simone, and implementing those lessons, everyone can transform their setbacks into stepping stones for growth and success.
I think there's so many takeaways in that message that you just shared. And for me, for someone who's got that bit of perfectionist streak, failure is something I really struggled with and probably still do. So I think there's a lot of takeaways in there that I will go and reflect on in just, why things happened in my first business and how it kind of evolved into that. But I'm a believer of everything happens for a reason to lead to the next step. So it's a matter of obviously just implementing those things you talked about so then you can use it in the best possible way to move forward.
Yeah.
All right. Question two.
By the way, our listeners are
Yeah.
probably realizing you can tell it's summer. I'm starting to tan, and I've only been spending like half a day in the swimming pool with the kids, and I was like, oh wow, and I haven't even got color gradients set up on here, and I'm like, sorry, just letting you know, it's the real deal. You know, I'm out there. I'm Italian by heritage, so
I'm jealous. I'm
yeah.
still definitely rocking my winter tone. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might want to wear a darker foundation.
Yes. No, my European summer jeans have not kicked in yet, but I'm sure it will in the next couple of weeks.
What we need to do is we need to get that So Glow product from Jamie Myers Co. at Aduco Gym. No, they have a product, your tablet you take, and you start to go golden. It's crazy. Yeah,
Wow.
and it really works. They
That
don't
is
use solariums in Ireland.
That is bringing a whole new level to self-tanning, that's for sure. All right, question 2. So, and I think you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but let's dive into this a bit more. How can we maintain persistence and focus during those challenging times in business? What are we really looking to do when it comes to a growth mindset, when it comes to still being a strong leader? How do you actually do the things that need to be done when you're just feeling like everything is crumbling around you?
Great question. And to the viewers that are watching, I can see today there's viewers. Drop us a message. Let us know that you're here. If you're on LinkedIn, unfortunately we can't. But if you're on YouTube and Facebook, we can actually take questions too. Look, maintaining persistence and focus during challenging times or even opportune times in business requires a blend of mindsets. Okay, strategy as well, and also practical actions. So, let me share with you a couple of ways that you can stay on track even when the going gets tough, but also you can use all of this even when things are going great. So the first thing is you've got to revisit and remind yourself of your long-term vision. And if you haven't got a vision, well, you are in the 80% of people in this world. And that's a problem.
Oh, that much? Really?
And that's a problem. You
Wow.
want to be in the 20. Okay. And if you lack a vision and you lack purpose, then you're listening to the right channel, the right podcast, because next year we're going to bring LWP to the world, and it's going to change thousands and thousands of people's lives. I promise you that. So we're currently working on a 100% money back guarantee for the one-day workshop, because I don't want anyone to pay me if they don't leave there going, that is going to change my life. So we are so confident of what we're going to be able to do, and that's because I'm purpose driven. As you can see, I live with purpose, and my purpose is to change the world one person at a time, starting with me. Well, I've gone through a 10-year transformation where I have been bullied, picked on, abused, ridiculed by even publicly by journalists, page one articles, and guess what? I'm still standing, right? And do you know why? I have purpose. They have nothing. They do a job, right? A job that most people are miserable about. Now, I'm not referring just to journalists. There's some great journalists out there. I'm friends with some. But the reality here is it's anyone. So many people are lost, and business owners are lost. I mean, Harvard Business Review did a paper on this, Simone, that less than 20% of senior executives or CEOs of Inc. 500 or Fortune Inc. 100 or Fortune 500 companies actually had a purpose. I mean, that's frightening, right? And you also consider 67% of Fortune 500 or is it Inc. 500 companies, right, go bust in the first 3 years, right? So it's no wonder, because the moment things get tough, they lack that vision. Okay, the reason why they're doing that bigger picture. So then the second thing is you've got to set yourself realistic goals, right? You know, if you're a startup and you decide that you're going to sell your company for $1 billion in 2 weeks, you are dreaming, right? So, you've got to break it down into long-term objectives and into smaller. We subscribe to the Jim Collins philosophy of, the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. And then we break it down into 3 year, 1 year, 90 days. And now our proprietary 4-week game plans to get
Yeah.
more shit
All
done,
right.
right?
All right. Quick pause just to go in on that. I've heard a lot of people that do like 10-year BHAGs and 20-year BHAGs. We're talking like not that long term, right?
No. Your BHAG should be 10 to 20 years, right? And then your strategic plan should be 3 years, because no one's got a magic ball, right? After COVID, no one knows what's going to happen. You know, I had a board meeting today. One of our board members, he owns a big trucking and export business, and some of the stuff he was telling me, like, I'm talking massive, right? They're a almost $200 million business, through 280 employees, and he's on one of my boards. And you know, the stuff that he's been enduring in his business is mind blowing.
Yeah,
and you can't forecast this stuff. He went to Europe for 2 weeks holiday, and bang, 8 weeks of just problem solving when he got back, because fuel pricing, export movements. You know, people are not buying, you know, in large volumes because of risk of money, and there's a whole bunch of challenges. So we don't really know. So 3 years is the optimum, but then break that 3 year down into 1 and then 4 weeks. But anyway, back to this. You got to stay organized. Okay? So you got to use tools and systems to keep your tasks and projects organized, right? This can also help you reduce stress, but also increase efficiency during productive and challenging times, right? My favorite word, prioritization. Okay? Not all tasks are critical and not all tasks are equal. Okay? So you got to focus on the activities that offer you the most significant impact on all your business objectives. You know, some people say to me, "Oh, I've been waiting to have a meeting with you for 2 months." Yeah, sorry, you're just not my priority. And people get offended, and they're like, "What do you mean?" It's like, I can't help the whole world, right? So I can only help people that want to help themselves. And a lot of the people that chase me all the time are people that have been sitting on the fence for so long that you can't help them, right? And I'm not a big believer in the people that jump over the fence and then impale themselves on the fence because they haven't even thought about it, right? But you know, there's a certain amount of time that you need to make decisions. You know, if you honestly are taking forever, you know, 3 years, a year to make a decision, well, you are the result of the decisions you choose to make or not make. Right?
Ooh, I like that.
So learn to prioritize. The other thing is you've got to maintain financial disciplines. Okay, you got to learn. You got to learn and lean on your networks. I mean, I do that all the time. You know, one of the advantages of being a professional chairman and director of companies is that I'm surrounded by really smart people. Right. Yeah. And so even though I'm the chair and we are working for a client, these guys offer, you know, males and females offer incredible value to me. And the conversations, you know, like me and one of our board members that will remain nameless, we caught up at 8 o'clock this morning to chew the fat on other issues, just to hang out, and then we had a board meeting from 8:30 onwards, right, until 1 o'clock. So you know, but yeah, it's why, because we wanted to just chew the fat and talk about how circumstances work and what circumstances get in the way, what constraints are in people's businesses. You've got to be continuously learning. You've got to be bloody flexible. Okay. You've got to celebrate your small wins. You've got to stay positive. You've got to seek feedback, and really, you've got to try and maintain some work-life balance. Now, I say this almost every week on the hot seat. I am a large man. I stand at 6'4". I used to be. I've shrunk, probably all the cartilage removals from my knees. I'm now 6'3", and I'm about 6 foot wide, right? But I train 3 times a week, right?
Yeah.
And that's a recent thing, because I spent most of my life worrying about business, right? And in between that, just had odd reminders of looking after myself. Well, don't make that mistake, right? You know, I'm very lucky that, you know, I'm still, because I'm strong, right? You know, I've been able to do 12 weeks of training, and I'm back to lifting ridiculous weights, much to my exercise scientists' dismay. And you know, I breached the leg press, 500 pounds on 160-second resistance training, and she was like, "Okay, that's ridiculous. We're going to have to go to one leg because that's the whole stack." So, and that's in only like less than 10 weeks of training. So, and I love it, but I found my juice again in that area. You got to find the juice. Like, don't get me doing cardio, because I can't. I don't like it,
Yeah.
but I like HIT training. So again, find the balance that works for you. I meditate
Yeah.
a lot, you know, um,
Mm.
2 big master meditations a week. So you've got to do what works for you. There is no prescribed formula of success in this area. Okay. I got a
Yeah.
lot of mates who their work-life balance is going to drink whiskey and smoking cigars with their mates. And if they
Mhm.
do that once a week, they can work 16-hour days, no problem, right? There's others that
Mhm.
need to sleep 15 hours, but they're billionaires who make money in 3 hours a day, right? But those
Yeah.
guys were working 20 hours, living on, protein powder and 2-minute noodles, right? So
Yeah.
you got to also understand where people have come from, and people forget that. So,
Mhm.
most of us at some point in time came from a couch surfing environment. Okay. When
Yeah.
I lost everything, I couch surfed. Right. I relied on my friends to allow me to be there. I had one venue left. Went in there, would go, shower somewhere, come back, work, do my jam. Right. And I was able to
Yeah.
sell that, make profit out of it, rebuild and start again. Like it's all these little steps that people love to hear, but it's too hard. And you got to tell the same story over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But look, by combining all those strategies that I talked about, and hopefully you've been taking notes, then
Mhm.
you can actually maintain your focus and persistence. And even when you're faced with any significant challenge or opportunity in your business, right, the resilience is built up. So then you have that entrepreneurial mindset, right? And that takes you on a journey, because remember, it's not a destination, right?
Mm.
Life is a journey, so is your business. And guess what we call this?
Yeah.
Business life hot seat. Okay?
Yes. So many takeaways in that to reflect on. Yeah. And it's so easy to get distracted by the reactive things that your team are coming to you with, or your higher levels of management, or get distracted with the shiny things in an opportunity and lose focus of your actual plan of what you should be doing right now. So lots of great takeaways and information in that one. I'm excited for this next question, and I haven't done this
God, what have you
before yet,
got?
so I'm not sure how happy you're going to be about this. I'm going personal. I actually want to reflect on your situation. And my question for you is, if you could go back to your younger days, what piece of business advice would you actually give to yourself? What would you say to yourself if you had to go back and give yourself some advice? What would you say?
I've been asked this question so many times, and often
Yeah.
I get asked when I used to speak at a lot of schools, and I used to get asked this question. And interestingly, I don't know if I ever answered it accordingly or properly, but
Mm,
if I could give a piece of business advice to my younger self,
mm,
it would actually center around the importance of resilience,
mm,
adaptability, and building meaningful relationships. Okay. And I would
mm,
say something on the lines of, and I kind of think I've said it in today's hot seat, but embrace the journey with resilience and an open mind. Okay. Because the
mm.
road to success is absolutely not linear, it's filled with a
Yeah.
shitload of ups and downs. Okay. Learn to adopt uh, quickly to change, or to adapt quickly to change, and view challenges and opportunities to grow and innovate. And I think you've heard me say that a lot. But
Yeah.
I would also say cultivate strong relationships, both professionally and personally, because they are going to be your greatest assets. I know by
Mm.
experience. Kristian 1.0 that lost everything and had to rebuild from, a lot further below the ground back up. If it wasn't for those
Yeah.
meaningful professional relationships that I had,
Mhm.
it would have been much harder. And there was a lot of people who
That's
are
really
very good
interesting.
friends.
Just to pause on that, there's something you often hear, that when people go through really challenging times, or lose their business, or lose things of significance, they lose their friends and their whole circle as well, right?
Yeah,
So
see,
this is exactly.
I reckon I lost about 5% of hangarounds. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
The rest were friends. And I have, those relationships to this day. It's why whenever I have a milestone, it's so hard to go, oh, who do I get rid of? Now, it's and even as I've had children and family, and those relationships are solid, right? So, you know, the other big piece of advice that I would give is listen more than you speak. I really should adhere to that now.
Is that to your younger self or to your current self?
That's why I'm laughing. And when you do speak, right, and this is what I have learned, when you do speak, you got to do it with intention, authenticity, and purpose. Okay, and that's what I'm alluding to. When you're young, you talk a lot of shit, right? And there's a lot of bullshit. Now, I've become a very impatient man because I'm persistent, but I'm actually really patient, right? I'm patient with my clients, I'm patient with my children. So what you got to do is really invest the time in continuously learning and also developing your skills, but also understand the value of balance and self-care, which is, I guess, what I said in the previous question. I kind of have not, right? Otherwise I wouldn't weigh 190 odd kilos, right? And be very, very attractive. But remember, and I'd finish with this sort of context line. Remember, success is not just about financial gains, but it's also about making a positive impact and finding fulfillment in what you do. And I'd really be expressing the entire concept of purpose. And what I would also do is I would probably wrap up with my values, and I would say to myself, I want to share my values with you that I have developed during my apprenticeship, right? This is, I've done the apprenticeship for you, and here it is, so you can flourish. And, people don't know a lot of these about us, but, I have a philosophy around always moving forward, because life is a journey, not a destination, right? I see, I think, and I seek differently than pretty much most people. And I would say, foster your entrepreneurial mindset. And, I would say, read Jim Collins's shit really early in your life, and learn not to be good, but to go for great. So how do you do that? I'd say make transformation your priority. Prioritize that. And a point I made earlier, no bullshit, right? Get to the point and fast, and say it as it is, and say it with purpose, right? Like, mean it. Be ridiculously persistent, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. And really importantly, find the one, right? And then treat her like a queen every single day, and raise the most amazing family, and put family first. So with family, it's all your people are your family, your clients, your team, all your stakeholders, but look after the most important people in your life. And that's all of those, and prioritize them, right? And ultimately I would say live with purpose.
Yeah.
So that would be my answer. And I think maybe that's probably the best answer I've ever given. And probably the younger self would have been bored by now and said, you lost me at the third line. So again, I'd say shut up and listen, punk.
Yes.
But and the reason is, I'm teaching my son at the moment, who's 8, is going to be 9 in March, financial management, because no one ever taught me. And that's one of the biggest things that I screwed up. I thought profit meant cash, and realized really quickly you can run out of cash. I'm teaching him about that, and saying, hey, you can buy all this crap that then ends up in the garbage bin after 3 months, right? Or if Louis hasn't attacked our French bulldog, a day, we're losing Lego pieces by the minute. There's Blake. Hi, Blake. Right?
Yes.
He's like, Mummy, it's almost time. But yeah, so that's in a nutshell. I hope that answered your question.
I really did, and thank you for that. I love hearing those reflections on our values as well. And I reflect back on when you invited me into the team, and that wasn't an easy decision for me to make, whether I actually wanted to work for someone again and step away from my business. And it was those values that I felt so aligned to. So everything that you talked to about in the leadership space and bringing people on the journey, it is a total reflection of what we do in our own companies and what we do internally. So I'm excited to sort of be launching into next year, and Live with Purpose is going to be amazing. I know it's something that is going to like you said, changed so many lives. And we're fortunate enough to be running this in 2 weeks' time when you come over to Sydney. Looking forward to that, back on my home turf, and connecting with all of our clients over here for our quarterly event. So Kristian Livolsi, another hot seat. That's a wrap. Thank you for your time and your insights as always, and we look forward to being back with everyone next Wednesday.
Thank you, Simone, and thank you everybody for listening. See you soon. Now, where's the button here? I'm so lost and confused. I don't want to leave, but here is the outro from Adrian Lee.
Working with Kristian is a game changer. Hi, I'm Adrian Lee from GrowthLink Coaching and Consulting. I started working with Kristian in August 2020 as his LinkedIn growth consultant. We worked together on his LinkedIn brand for about 12 months before becoming business partners in Growth Outsourced late 2021. Kristian is a hidden genius. He helped me break through a significant financial target by restructuring my growth consulting online business offer. I don't know of any one person who can give you so much focus, clarity, and structure to live your purpose and get shit done. He holds you accountable to your words and gives you the tough love when you need it. I love his no BS approach to business and life. Everyone needs a Kristian Livolsi in their life. Do whatever you have to work with Kristian. This is just the beginning for us, and I am super pumped to continue growing together. Thanks again, Kristian.
Are you ready to start taking action on your business? Would you like to spend more time with your family? Then call 1300-643-229 and start building momentum right now. I know you're busy. In fact, you are so busy that you don't have time to work on your business or yourself. Often tossing and turning at night, worrying about the how-tos and the cash flow. How on earth can you possibly get off the hamster wheel so that you can take a helicopter view to see where you'll be in 90 days, 1 year, or 3 years from now? In this program, I will take you from sleepless nights to blissful sleep. You'll have more time with your family and you will have the clarity and direction so you can grow and flourish. Call 1300-643-229 now and start building momentum.